So what we're looking at here is a probably a 1962 era brown-faced Bandmaster, and it's on the bench here just for a preliminary assessment. Had some complaints from the owner about intermittent noises, pops and crackles, the usual woes. So just pulled it out of the cabinet. We're taking an initial look here to see if there's anything that immediately comes to mind. And right away we can see evidence in here that there's been previous work to the amp. In particular, it looks like they replaced the cathode bypass caps here. It looks like right here they did a quasi replacement of the oscillator feedback caps. More on that in a little bit. We can see a spliced in resistor here. They didn't have the correct value for that part, so they just made it with two series parts. This is a replacement. This is a replacement as well. And you can see, sprinkled throughout, like here's a metal film part. You can tell that those are added. One of the best courses on when you first start looking at one of these is, look at the previous work, and you always kind of form a mental picture of what the work was, the quality of it. And here we can see evidence that, well, I hate to be too uncharitable, but it's quasi hack work. You can see over here, if I can persuade this to zoom in any on it, which I probably cannot. At any rate, you can see that this replacement cap and the bias supply has just been rather crudely tacked in on the stubs of what was there before. You can see up here that a 3-conductor AC cord was installed, but rather than do the job properly, they just sort of schlepped the loose end of the ground wire with some solder underneath a nut on the chassis without a proper terminating lug like this is. This is immediately available right here. I don't know why they didn't just use that, since with a 3-conductor cord replacement you don't need this capacitor anymore. It's what's usually called the death cap and would come out in this application. Plus, it's a nice cap. It's one of those blue tubular Ajaxes, and it can be set aside and used in another project if a person wanted to, or sold for big eBay dollars. Anyway, you can see that, here's the replacement cord. It looks kind of tacked in. These screen grid resistors, they don't look too bad as far as the work done replacing them, but when we start coming back here and looking at the cathode bypass cap replacements, and it's pretty easy to see where one of his intermittent complaints is coming from. He was saying that when he played the amp with a lot of bass and a fair amount of power, that there'd be some cutting out going on, and gosh, maybe that's got something to do with it there. This was just basically butt soldered against this other lead here, and of course it popped loose after a short period of time. And looking back over the other work, it's not too terrible over in this area, but one thing that you can see is that who has ever done the work has been extremely compartmentalized, in that they've replaced parts, but other things that you would think of doing are not done, like these jacks and the jacks in the front panel, which you can't really see from this viewpoint, but trust me, the front panel is just as dirty and corroded as you would expect it to be on the inside. None of those have been cleaned or polished out with a contact burnisher or anything like that. The board has contamination on it. You can see that brownish stuff there. Just the general cleanup work that you would do along with a repair like this, which is call it a 100,000 mile maintenance repair. the general cleanup work and ancillary cleaning that you would do wasn't done. So there's any number of places where, you know, noise can creep in, hissing and popping. Judging from the quality of some of these solder joints in here, it could be any. So we'll go through the whole caboodle and get it cleaned up and tightened down, and, you know, get over here and re-terminate this in a proper manner. The surprising thing is looking at the back side of the amp, and I'm going to try and flip it over now without creating too much chaos. Now you can see, kind of help the camera out here. The capacitor main filter bank has been rebuilt with using Sprague's, and they're nice caps, a little high priced, but they do a good job. The thing that surprised me is this work is meticulous. This work back here is very clean and proper. Whoever did it took the board completely apart and cleaned it and reinstalled the parts and did a good job there. You can tell it's been work done besides these, because whoever did it snipped the corners, which that tends to make the board fit a little better in some instances, because those sharp corners kind of can tend to make it, you know, press against the can and not fit quite properly in some cases. But looking over here, you can see the output transformer. It's kind of wiggling like, you know, you might want to see the dentist about that tooth. This metal that the frame is made out of is just stamped metal, so it's not very strong. What you would want to do in a situation like this is to take it loose and straighten these tabs out, and then re-terminate them, probably depending on how tight the machine screws are, or the sheet metal screws are here. If they still have good threads and good purchase, you could reuse them. Otherwise, you know, go with machine screws and bolts with a washer on the top deck to spread that force out and make a better mechanical connection there, just to stiffen this up, so that the vibration is the enemy of that metal, and it will eventually crack across here and break if it's not, you know, subdued in that motion. We can also see that the choke has been replaced. It's a module part on there now. I don't know why they had to splice it when they did, but whatever. It's in there. It's a good part, so we'll probably be leaving that alone. Original power transformer, and you probably can't see from the camera and the glare and everything, but the EIA number, the code here is, I'll try and read it, 606145, so that's the one represents 1961 in this case. And on the output transformer over here, if I can reposition somewhat, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the EIA code here is 6062 something 2, indicating a 1962 part. So, you know, it fits in with an estimation of 1962 for it.